Hugh, thanks again for taking the time to come in today. Really appreciate it. You said something really interesting when we were setting up, that it was your goal to ensure that employer and employee goals in retirement plans are aligned.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little more about that. Expand on that for us.
Yeah, in my old role prior to going out and creating the program that I built, my observation was that the industry, HR, was very into making sure people were financially well and becoming retirement ready. But the finance area of the organization was not seeing how that tied into organizational goals. And what I set out to do is to make sure that on top of making sure that people are financially well, that there was a financial argument on why that was good for the organization. My observation is when you create that alignment of what's good for an employee and why that's good for an organization, that's when the magic happens in the benefits area.
You mentioned a couple terms here that I think are starting to get a lot of attention, and you've got a lot of people talking about retirement readiness.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean when you say retirement readiness?
Yeah, especially in the industry, there are a lot of different definitions of retirement readiness. So it can mean something as basic as we're trying to get the employee into a position by the age of 67 that they would have 75% of their pre-retirement income throughout their life expectancy. I tend to think the industry argues over the definition when the reality is most Americans, regardless of the definition, are not in a good position to be retirement ready. And we should focus our time and energy on how to create improvement that's measurable versus worrying about the definition.
So that's a great transition into my next question, which is, what is that? What are the biggest obstacles to helping employees become retirement ready and or helping them make that successful transition into retirement in a timely fashion?
Yeah, I mean, it really goes back to what employers used to worry about when they ran a defined benefit program. The employer understood there were really only two ways to get the defined benefit plan where it needed to be, and that was through adequate funding and or the investment strategy. So although we moved from a defined benefit arena where that responsibility was on the employer to a defined contribution strategy where those two elements are the employee's responsibility, that has to be the focus of the employer and the advisor. How do we get the funding level appropriate for each employee? And then how do we make sure that employee is investing in their money in the most risk-appropriate way to achieve their objectives?
All right, you said it. So how do you do it? What are some strategies that you're either seeing or recommending or encouraging employers to think about to accomplish some of those goals?
Yeah, so let me answer that in two ways. Number one, which is what I've spent the last couple of years of my life on, is how do I actually get everybody at the employer to understand that this is critical? So how do I get the CEO or executive director